So, thank you for joining us this
Wow.
evening.
Thank you, Naama. Yeah, thank you so much for giving this opportunity for me to connect with everybody and, yeah, to speak about something that, yeah, has become, I think we could say in some way, like a part of my Dharma now. I mean, when I first started out in yoga, it's just funny how the path unfolds, yeah? Suddenly, years later, you find yourself immersed in a system that you had no idea would be a part of your reality. So saying this, what I really feel is important to share before we begin is to say that what I have to share here, it may be resonant for some people and it may not be. Yeah, we all come from different backgrounds, we all come from different systems, and ultimately we all have a different experience of the practices inside of ourselves. So I feel like it's really important for me to say that what I share here doesn't have to kind of be a yes for everybody. And I might say some things that people disagree with, and some things may resonate. And this is the beauty of Tantra, actually, because the path of Tantra is something that is so vast and beyond what we can put into boxes or put into systems. And there's one thing that Guruji says, and I just want to really honor Guruji right now, because obviously this knowledge and this whole system has come through his grace. And he says that, you know, Tantra is a treasure and it's not owned by anybody. And that within that, it's also changing. And this doesn't somehow give us permission to just change it on our own regard, you know, because I feel it's so important to have that energy connection inside of ourselves, which is really at very kind of advanced levels, where we are so open and so connected to the download of cosmic energies. In other words, our chakras are open and we have that inner connection. And this is when we really can receive information in the way that Guruji does. And so saying that, within the Tantra, it is possible that one person's experience, one master may have one point of experience, and then another master may have another one. So you'll find that there are different systems. For example, now we can just speak about some of them to honor that and to maybe also help us to understand the differences. We have what we understand now. There's a very popular system, the Kundalini Yoga. And then we can have another system that deals with the Kriya Yoga, coming from the Babaji lineage. And then we have this Sharabh Yog that is offered through the traditional Tantra, through Shivoham Tantra. And then there are many others. There are so many systems of Kriya that have been given to us. And it's a grace and a blessing, because just as there are so many different kind of systems, it's important because everybody's so uniquely individual. And it's really important that on the spiritual path, we can find something that rings good for us, you know? Because if it was the same for everything, then many people wouldn't come to spirituality. And so this is the beauty of Tantra. And so this being said, this is what I want to say now, that this system of Kriya is coming through Guruji and may be completely different from what somebody understands of their understanding of Kriya. Saying this, one thing that is very common and understood, even when I started to learn kind of, I would say, introductory Kriyas into yoga, like many years ago, we learned that a Kriya is an action. A Kriya is an action that helps to purify. Like this is like an immediate thing that I always remember in the initial teachings. And this doesn't change, that I've seen in all the different systems that I've had the privilege to practice, that is something very consistent. Saying this, that action can have a whole different effect depending on how it's used and how it's combined with other practices. Mm-hmm. And so when I say other practices, I mean a combination of mantra, a combination of movement, a combination of dhyan, like focus of the mind, like all of these different things create different kriyas, okay? So if we can just say no, especially for those people that might be new to Kriya, maybe somebody is here now and this is like a completely new word for you. We can say that a Kriya is an action. It is something that is kind of performed with our physical body, yeah? And then there are obviously different components that constitute the variety of Kriyas that we have. So, okay, that's kind of an initial thing to say. Yeah. And then let's just move on from there.
I'll just tell you that we already have one, because you cannot see the comments already, or who was really excited about your talk, because she's saying she's practicing both Kundalini Yoga and Babaji's Tantric Kriya Yoga. So she's very happy to hear what you have to say about that.
Well, I just have to say within that, you know, like...
Yeah, but she's very open. She's a sister. Yeah.
Well, also, I don't feel like in some ways I can really comment on all of these systems, you know. It's like, oh my God, even the Kriyas that I want to speak about now, I have to say, I feel like a baby in the practice, you know. It's really something that, and this is the whole thing with things like when we talk about the chakras, this knowledge is far like beyond what our minds can really comprehend, you know. And the more I go deeper in Tantra and in yoga, the more I understand that I really don't know very much at all. Like, really, I don't. So for me to just speak and even mention these like renowned systems is like, okay, let's see how this goes, you know? So where were we with this? Yeah, I wanted to share something to describe. So when I'm teaching on general TTCs, what I tend to do is just teach a very basic understanding of Tantra Yoga, because you know, like this has been a wonderful foundation in my whole practice and life. And so I generally teach, I almost call it like the basic foundation. And within this Tantra Yoga, we obviously understand that there is primarily the use of Hatha Yoga, yeah? Like Hatha is a foundation for all systems of Yogasana. Now, within the kind of format of yoga, at least what I've been introduced to, there are 4 margas, there are 4 paths, yeah? And within these paths, we have the karma yoga, the yoga of action, selfless service, Jnana yoga, this inner knowledge, the inner wisdom. We have Raja yoga, where we're meditating and using the different practices that are coming from Hatha also. To go deeper, and then I'm going to get myself here now. We have the 4th, so Karma, Raja, Bhakti Yoga, of course. How can we forget Bhakti Yoga? So, and this is the path of devotion. And this is what I've always kind of understood. Now, when we received this knowledge from Guruji, my husband and I, we received the Diksha for Sharabh Yog. Guruji presented to us another kind of look to understanding yoga. And he said there's actually, if you look at yoga as in a physical practice, as in the practice that most people understand yoga nowadays, there are 4 different ways. There are 4 paths, you could say again. And within this path, there is Kriya. And I believe that this is the commonly known Kriya that are practiced because what I will speak about with the Kriyas in Tantra, they're not so common. They're not really so widely known. So we have Kriya, then we have Hatha, and then we have Malay. Okay, now Malay Yoga is what we're dealing with here in the Sharabh Yog system. I will come back to this. And then we have what is commonly known as like the Patanjali style yoga. Yeah, so there are some basic asana in there, as we know, the sitting asana, but primarily it's all the practices, again, towards meditation. I guess we could say it's similar to Raja Yoga. So this Malay Yoga was something that I'd not heard of, but it's very well known in Tantra. And the Malay Yoga is actually a combination of all of this. Okay, it's a combination of the asana, it's a combination of Kriya, it's a combination of bandhas, kumbhaka, a combination also of dhyan, okay, the ability to use techniques to help to focus the mind. And so this is what makes actually this system very, very potent, not just in Tantra, but also spiritually. Because if we, and this is the point as well, where I really don't want to offend anybody, because maybe somebody is practicing Hatha Yoga and they have really found their path. It's like, I'm with Hatha Yoga for the rest of my life. And this is amazing, you know, Hatha can give a lot, so much. And as we understand, Hatha is that gift from the divine, where we can balance the lunar and solar energies inside. And right now, humanity needs that because of this unbalance in the lunar and solar energies. We are constantly finding that the physical body has disease, the mind is also not very well, and this is all because of extreme imbalance in what we call the inner lunar and solar energies, the female and male energies. So I feel like I'm opening so many different threads. I hope I can pull it together.
Yeah, I'm already like so fascinated and I'm writing down things.
So yeah, this Hatha Yoga is so pinnacle to help to balance this. And so we need to have a starting point in spirituality. And this is where Hatha Yoga is so beneficial. And I do have to say that a deep practice of Hatha Yoga is really also important, like holding these asanas for longer periods of time, so that they really can kind of nurture the yin as well as the yang, you know, in order to help this drawing the body towards more harmony and neutrality. So we have this with the Hatha Yoga, but what I understand is Hatha Yoga alone takes lifetimes to actually bear the fruits of very serious kind of openings in terms of the chakras, the kundalini, and therefore our overall spiritual awakening. It simply takes time because it's a steady path. It's a safe path. We could even say in some ways it is a path of sattva. Those of you that understand sattva, rajas, and tamas, there are different paths, and there's a big kind of misconception about this, because all of these paths are very, very valid in Tantra, so long as they are used in the right way. And this is where the controversy comes in. But I guess today we're not going to really speak about this. So I will just say that the Hatha Yoga is really working in a very sattvic way. It's gentle. It's not pushing the energy too much, you know. Obviously, when you start to apply things like the pranayama, the kumbhaka, the bandhas, of course, this is when there is a change to the practice. But generally, the hatha just has this steadiness, yeah? And as a result, it is more of a slow path. So this is asana in what we understand in the Hatha Yoga practice. And then this Malay Yoga that I spoke about, this third aspect of a path of yoga, is like I said, a combination of asana, kriya, and we're going to look at kriya in more detail, and the kumbhaka. Those that don't know kumbhaka, it's when we are holding breath retention within the practices. And then the bandhas, which I'm sure many people know, where we create certain, we could call them locks in the body, but certain engagements in order to flow the energy in different ways. And then the dhyan, okay, this concentration ability. And so Malay Yoga combines all of these. And this is what makes this path very efficient in terms of opening the energy of the general flow of energy, but also directing it in a powerful way where it actually has an effect in the chakras. Because this is what I understand most people are doing nowadays. They want to practice Tantra Yoga or Tantra in general because the focus is that we can enliven the chakras, we can energize the chakras. And a common word that is used is to activate the chakras. But quite honestly, I've stopped to use the word activate in my teacher trainings now when I'm teaching people to teach kind of the foundation of Tantra Yoga, because activate is a very serious statement. And I like to be a bit more clear nowadays. Now I really understand what's going on in these practices, because to activate the chakras, you're really doing something there. It's not a small thing. It's really not. And to activate chakras can take lifetimes of sadhana, because the thing is, what people generally feel in Tantra Yoga, in Hatha, of course, if you hold an asana for 5 minutes, and you are constantly focusing your energy on a chakra, let's say Anahata, for example. Many people understand that we have some energy here in Anahata. So you're in an asana and you're constantly focusing the energy here for 5 minutes. Of course, something's going to happen because we are using dhyan, the focus of the mind. The body is in a certain position that pushes the energy to that area. And then there is, there can definitely be, and this is the words that I use now, an energizing. There can be something like an energy felt there. And maybe even on a psychological level, there can even be something experienced, you know. It's not to say nothing happens. It's like somehow we tickle that energy a little bit, yeah. But the reality is that's all we can do, because that in itself is not going to activate the flow of the chakras in such a way that they can influence one another, because it's not just about pushing energy into the heart or experiencing that in the practice. Actually, there is a systematic way that the chakras themselves are opened, and then they influence the next chakra and then the next one in order for that energy to open. And what is important to say actually is, even before that can happen, the lunar and solar energies need to be balanced. Because if the lunar and solar energies are not in balance, and we have done something to get the lunar and solar energies directly into the Sushumna Nadi, as it's commonly known, I will, if I use it again, refer to this as Saraswati Nadi, because that's it, our energy is fluctuating in the Ida and Pingala all the time. But through these tantric practices, the kriya, the mantra, and all of these things, we push the energy eventually, and this is not a small thing, but eventually, with the grace, we can get the energy in the central channel, yeah? And this is actually when we start to activate the chakras, yeah? And it's not, I will repeat again, a small thing. So where does this bring us with Kriya? Okay. Now, the Malay, the Kriya, the practices of Malay yoga actually have more Shakti inside the practices. There is more energy there. And I think we all understand the basic law of the universe, that when there's more energy, there is more power. Yeah. And of course, that energy can be used in different ways. But obviously, on the spiritual path, we are always cultivating this energy and hoping that our inner intelligence will use it for the highest good. And so with this amplified Shakti, because whenever you use mantra, you amplify the energy, because basically a mantra itself is a powerful sound vibration that amplifies the energy within us. So what it actually does, you could say in one way that by saying mantra, like the sound vibration, key words, if we said it very simply, they call energy to us. But what we could say is more correctly is it awakens energy within inside of us. So this is one way that we increase energy. Okay, and then another way is when we are using these different aspects of kumbhaka, the breath retention, and the bandhas, and the dhyan, the focus of the mind, we naturally charge more the energy. It just becomes stronger inside. And then combine that with a very powerful physical action, usually a movement of the body. And quite honestly, this needs to be for a longer period of time. We're not talking about 5 breaths here. We're not talking about even 2 minutes here. Like, these kriyas sometimes need a lot longer. So combine that movement along with those aspects that I've just said, and you have a power. You have a source of powerful energy happening inside. And then through the mantra that we use, because the mantra is always corresponding to the chakras themselves, we either in this system of Kriya use mantras for the bija, for the center of the chakra, or for the petals, what we understand of the petals of the chakras, the spokes. And by using this mantra, it directs that energy to, it's not that it directs it, it resonates that energy in that particular point of the subtle body, in that particular point of the chakra, so that it's almost like the force of the action, the holding. And I'm not saying here that in every kriya we hold breath retention, not at all actually. There's very little that we do, but it is still a part of it. But it's mainly through the action of the body and through mantra, and through dhyan, concentration, we can push the energy in that particular area, or because some people don't like the word push, but the reality is it is a bit of a push because we're not dealing with something passive here. Yeah, this is not a passive style of practice. It needs action. And so with this, that things can happen. Things can happen. Something can be activated genuinely, not just a word that we use flippantly. You know, something happens. And and then if you can imagine that there is a system where you have a kriya for each of those petals and the chakra themselves. And in fact, not just one kriya, because as the universe is a very complex and mysterious force, we actually have 3 kriyas for each petal. Well, sometimes there's just 2, because those kriyas themselves, they also connect to the Ida Nadi, the Pingala, and to the central channel. So even in the petals themselves, you are not just dealing with the petal, you're dealing with the 3 aspects of energy in that. So, my goodness, yeah, it's like need to take a breath just to explain this. That there's a lot going on, but this is it. It is not a small thing to take a practice like this.
It's an entire world, huh?
Huh?
It's an entire universe, just to understand the small bit of it.
Yeah, yeah. And I know that even now, I don't personally understand by far so much of this. With anything that we learn in spirituality, it's like a flower. It just has to slowly unfold. And, you know, it's only through the practice of this and through, and through kind of the opening of our own energy. And this is something else that I wanted to share as well, because there are many amazing ways that people can share yoga and tantra with the world nowadays, because the reality is, you know, humanity needs this right now. And there are many different levels that we can share this. And I trust that everybody that has something to share in this field will be able to just help. Even if it's just one person you help in your whole life, that's already like a great thing for the collective consciousness. And I've gone on one of those threads. Sometimes I get a little bit in there. One moment, let me find where I was sharing here.
Something about Kriyas.
Of course. Yeah.
And about that everybody now have something to give to the world, and it's a very important moment to share knowledge, and there is different levels.
Thank you. It's super helpful. So if everybody has something, it's like what I'm saying here today, I don't want to kind of devalue anybody. If you know, if you're teaching like anything, then it's really good to share that. But I do believe that using the right terminology when we are teaching these things is really important. So it's not, I feel now, even for myself, when I'm teaching a kind of regular yoga class, I'm not using, like I said before, these words like activate and things like this, because I want to be honest with people. You know, I cannot say, oh, come to my yoga class and we can balance your chakras today. My God, you know, it's really something to say that we can just simply bring energy. We can do these practices in a wish that everything that we do ultimately is a stepping stone to creating that greater harmony and of course that overall awakening in our subtle body. And yeah, so I feel it's important to say this. Yeah.
So maybe I'll bring up a question that I suppose some people have already in their mind. So if we only energize the chakras when we do Hatha Yoga, how do we activate them? How do we balance them?
Okay, this is good question because it also just allows us to really give respect to the so many different systems within spirituality that we have. And I say that in a way, if we can find really authentic systems as well, you know, because you need a real clear path that is grounded in validity, actually, in order to activate the chakras. I think we can understand that. So as I've said, if people are practicing in Kriya, in the style of Kriyas and using Kriyas, then of course they can use that in order to take the asana practice one step further. Yeah. And of course, if somebody doesn't have an interest to do Kriyas, maybe they just want to go into mantra sadhana and actually take a mantra from some person who can give a mantra that will really do something significant for them spiritually, they can just be in the mantra sadhana. And this is where we also come back to the other paths of yoga. Maybe some people just want to go inside and really go into the Gyan yoga and just kind of meditate on the pure essence of their being. Like, there is many different ways that people can branch from that to really make a difference. But it's like what I said, and at least this is what I understand. Some of these paths take longer, because if you are just, like taking this beautiful path of Gyan Yoga and really just like continuously, devoting your time to meditation, not just sitting meditation, but in the daily life, and meditating on that pure essence, actually for many people it's very, very difficult, because of this imbalance in the lunar and solar energies. It just brings such agitation that even most people cannot sit for long periods and contemplate the essence of their being. So it can in effect take a very long time. And so by choosing a path that is more tantric, and I'm not trying to sell Tantra here in any way, the path of Tantra isn't suitable for everybody. But to choose a path that, if you feel called, that has this tantric element where you are using more mantra and you are using kriyas and, just kind of more practices in this way, will definitely take you towards this activation. And of course, one thing that has to be said, then there are some people that already have this opened inside of them. Like people come in, I don't know if people believing in the past lives and things, but whatever, it doesn't matter so much. But we're in this body now, and some people, they already have this opened. And saying that, though, we can still have an opened Kundalini in different capacities. I mean, at a point, a true open Kundalini, somebody will be really kind of, at least, let's speak about till here, because from here to here is another story that I cannot speak about. Even Guruji doesn't speak about from here to here. This is between every person and God. And so let's talk about just coming to here. It's
I would just say that in the ashram we have a representation of from here to here, and like he sometimes say a few words about this, but you really need to do a lot of practice before you can even understand what he means.
Yeah. And what is understood is that through this activation that we were speaking about, inevitably everything happens within the chakras that kind of flows from one to the other to bring the energy to here. And once you have brought the energy to the third eye, then Guruji says it's like another 25 years of serious sadhana. Like that. But of course, unless there is a grace, where it happens. And then, like I say, that's just between that person and God.
Easy.
So, but yeah, it's not a small thing, and it's not to put people off. It's just to be very honest and say the reality of this, because sometimes in the kinds of spirituality nowadays, we all have this idea, I felt love for my partner, so therefore my heart must be open, and this kind of idea, and yeah.
It's very sweet, but there is much more than this.
Yeah. And it's I think all we can do is really like meditate and look at the lives of those saints and masters that have really shown to the world that something was opened. you know, they had an open Kundalini. And then you look at their lives and then you say, okay, you know, this is what that awakened state is. And so it's beautiful because these saints and masters have come into body and show us that we can do it, you know, but we have to be realistic about that.
So there is a question here that actually brings us back to our subject and about the Kriyas. And so maybe we can speak more about Kriyas, explain them a little bit more. And there is a question here, and you can decide if you want to answer now or later. Is there a material or any knowledge about the meaning of each petal? So bringing us back to the Kriyas. And
okay.
And also, is saying in Tantric Kriya Yoga, we say take shortcuts using very strong pranayamas and mantras that work faster. Okay. She's coming from another tradition, and she, yeah. It's like she's, I don't know how to say this in English. She's joining what you just said from her tradition.
Okay, great. I hope that connections can be made. It would be nice.
Yeah. So also the question about the petals, and this really brings us back to speak about the Kriyas and what are they and why we use them in Tantra, which Tantra.
So as I think we understand, at least the knowledge that I have received, we're using these Kriyas for the chakras, and specifically although initially when I first learned about the Kriyas with Guruji, we didn't focus on the petals of the chakras actually. We were doing a very big sadhana process, as you know, Naama, to activate the chakras. And this was actually something that took us 7 years, just to kind of put that in context. And we never once focused on the petals. It was kind of not necessary with what we were doing. It was like with Guruji's guidance, we were just focusing on the chakras each time over those years. Now, the whole breakdown of the petals of the chakras came through the Sharabh Yog. And the big question that I had was, Guruji, please tell us, like, what are the petals, what energy is in there, and which petal is for this emotion and which is for this, and you know, like this whole idea that I was coming from with past knowledge, and I don't know if I can even say it was knowledge, but presumptions. And I guess in my early days, it was nice to have this because we like to put things, okay, so we have Muladhara, there's 4 petals, maybe that one is because of this and this and this, you know, we like to do that with our minds. But the reality is that each petal is again beyond our ability to have any clue what it is. And I'm really sorry if there's somebody, or maybe there's somebody there like, no, I know, and great, you know, it'd be lovely for you to share, but at least what I understand from Guruji is this is not something we can put in a box, and I will explain why. And I'll also explain that this is how we're practicing the Kriyas and the asana in Sharabh Yog. It's not that we are focusing on certain emotions or certain kind of ideas. We are just simply using the action of the body and using mantra. And then we leave the rest to the energy. And the way that I like to explain this, first of all, the way that Guruji has said, each petal of the chakras themselves are not dealing with physicality. Like we so fix our mind. We fix our mind that, oh yeah, the chakras, they're dealing with this, and like we put it in a very material way. But the chakras themselves are subtle energies. They are spiritual energies within us. And it's only when we actually become on the path of spirituality do we get the inspiration, not inspiration, do we actually have some effect on them? Because for some people, they're not really kind of part of their experience as a soul. If somebody hasn't done sadhana in previous times, it's not a reality for them. We have to build this energy connection. And this is what the chakras are. The chakras are energy connections to outside, and I might sound a bit like how to say, you know, well, this is the reality. There are cosmic energy connections. Each of the chakras is connected to energies that are beyond our comprehension, quite honestly. And each petal of the chakras, okay, we can put some idea. We all understand about the correlation to the elements, yeah? Like, this is a nice grounded way that I actually teach foundational Tantra yoga now, to really focus with the elements. But the actual, and this is also the same in Kriya and in Tantra, but the chakras and those petals are really linking us to planetary energies. And we're not just talking about planets in our solar system. This is something beyond that. With what Guruji has said, these energy connections are connected to planets that are not even in the physical. We're talking about astral planets here. So this is where it gets very, like, you know, how to really define this. And what he also said, and we understand this in Tantra, because the solar, for example, if we just look at our solar system, everything is changing and moving. The planets are never in the same place, ever. Everything is so different. Like, I mean, when I say planets, the connection to where they are in the stars, and nothing is the same. And so this is it with the energies of the chakras, because these planets are constantly moving, so the energy changes all of the time. So we cannot box this with our human comprehension. And so this is it. That's just what I understand. And you know something? I am so happy to understand this, because suddenly now it has brought a lot of humility to me in my practice. It's brought a lot of humility to me as a teacher, that I simply don't know. Instead of trying to understand it for myself with my mind, to try and teach it in a way that everybody's going to go, oh, that feels really good when you say that. It's like, no, we don't know. We don't know. Of course, there can be some something felt. Like if you do certain kriyas, they are deliberately there to amplify the water elements, for example, just like some pranayamas do. Yeah. So of course there can be a direct effect upon the water elements in the body, and maybe that has an effect on the mind. It's not to say there's no correlation here, but the true connection is just a complete cosmic connection. And yeah, I hope that explains.
Yeah. I think this is one of the beautiful things that we learned with Guruji in Shivoham Tantra and in the ashram, that everything is changing all the time, and every time we try to put something in boxes, it's just not working. Yeah. And it really helps with detachment, and it really helps, as you said, with humility, and bring us back all the time to our sadhana, because we can only have any knowledge through this direct experience in sadhana.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So, yeah, so whatever we say as teachers in our teacher training course, either me or you are teaching, it's a lot of knowledge that can also change as nature is changing all the time.
And it does change, because you look at what the Chinese system says about chakras, what the Tibetans say about the chakras, what the Kundalini system says about chakras. Everybody has a different idea. So what does that say? It doesn't mean to say that that system is not valid and that experience has not been known to somebody in order to be able to convey that with some kind of experience. But it means to say it's not fixed, that this is different in all cases. So my suggestion when we practice yogasana and when we're practicing Kriya is just to kind of let go of this box, you know. And I think the more we let go of this kind of knowledge in these boxes anyway in spirituality, the more we can be an open vessel for the energy to show us what is happening. So when we practice Sharabh Yog, of course, and these Kriyas, we say, okay, focus here in this part of the chakra, or focus on the mantra, or focus here. There are always focus points, but they are very specific. The focus on the mantra, focus in the petal, or focus on the water element in the body, focus on manifesting yourself as an elephant. Like there are some kind of kriyas, as you know, that are particularly for the Muladhara chakra, where you manifest that kind of steadiness, that earthy quality of the element, of the elephant, the element of earth, as you are in the kriya. And yeah, this is enough. This is enough to really make that kriya work, and I would even say to make it work better. Let go of the mind with this. Mm-hmm.
So speaking of Sharabh Yog, maybe you can tell us a little bit more about Sharabh Yog and the Kriyas that is being done there, and then we can answer some questions. Sure. So it's a good time to tell those who are listening that you can feel free already to write some questions. I already saw some of your questions and I'm going to read them later to Radasi so she can answer. But maybe first we can hear a little bit about Sharabh Yog and the Kriyas of Sharabh Yog.
Yeah, so I will share this just as an extension to help you to understand, like other components to how we are doing the Kriyas in Sharabh Yog. And this will also give you a little insight into traditional Tantra in general, because obviously this is like a small part. Kriyas are a small part of the whole Tantric system. And actually in the Sharabh Yog there are over at the moment, maybe there will be more, but at the moment there is just over 100 Kriyas that are working on the chakras up to Anahat. And then here we are dealing only with vocal Kriyas, because here now, from here upwards, becomes another dimension of being. We're not, and of course there are some asanas that we can do to bring energy here and here, but ultimately when you start getting to here, it's about vocal Kriyas and also obviously about meditation. But the Kriya system that is kind of delivered to people within the Sharabh Yog is bringing the energy and activating to whatever degree it activates. Because another thing to remember is, depending on that person's subtle body, there will be a different level of activation. If somebody is open, they will get full open. But if there are blocks happening already in somebody's subtle body, then the opening will be more limited because of that. So the Kriya system comes to, the physical Kriyas come to here. And I will give you like a little preview as well, because this was like super helpful in me to learn this and to really kind of get to sense the absolute value of pranayama and dhyan meditation. Because when you get to Anahat chakra, there is less physical kriyas. As you go up, there is less of the need to kind of use the body in this kind of strong way. And when you get to here, there are, of course, a number of physical kriyas, but we start using pranayama kriyas. So, and some of these pranayamas, I know many of you will be familiar with. And then also at this level on the bija of Anahat, we use dhyan meditation, a particular meditation of just using mantra and just going so deep that we even let go of the mantra. You know, it's like we go inside. And And yeah, so we are making these Kriyas initially for people to get a genuine opening of their energy, because this is the other thing when we're teaching. If your energy system is not activated at some degree, how can we truly transmit to other people? And this is in general, and this should inspire all teachers to take your sadhana seriously, because it's okay, it's not like a push to do this, but if we are not active, how can our energy influence other people in a good way? How can we transmit Shakti? So the Sharabh Yog system enables a degree of that, but it's not a complete, you're not like completely activated. It does something to empower you, so then you can teach other people the yoga and eventually the Kriyas. Because listen to this, in this system, once people have finished the Kriyas, they do 3 weeks serious sadhana, non-stop Kriyas for 3 weeks, using herbal paste on the body so that it can the Kriyas become more effective. It's another thing, I'm sure you've talked about this with people listening, but we won't go into this now. But we put herbs on the body so that the energy can open, and then after 3 weeks, it's still very how to say, it's still an incomplete process. Then there needs to be 4 months mantra meditation to fix the effect of the Kriyas in the body, because when we open the energies in this way, we kind of leave things. I mean, I'm not saying open in a negative way, like something can be a problem, but it's kind of, we leave it incomplete. And then afterwards, if you use a mantra, you kind of lock that energy into the chakras and the petals of the chakras. So this is like a basic mantra meditation. And
it's part of the process.
It's a part of the
process.
It's a necessary part of the process, yeah. And then listen to this. For then somebody to be seriously eligible to teach those Kriyas to others, because obviously there's over 100 Kriyas. It's not a thing we can just kind of, oh yeah, come and learn these, practice these, and go and teach them, have a, you know, joyful time. It's then somebody that is practicing in this system, then they need to integrate those Kriyas daily for 18 months. So for 20 minutes a day, for 18 months, you systematically practice those Kriyas until they become like clockwork in your body. So that when you then, 18 months later, come to teach somebody these practices, it's not just a 1 month teacher training, you know, like it's you then have over time developed your energy on a subtle level, but also through the practice, to be able to really help people, not just with the mind, but through the power of your own subtle body. And this is how it's coming now in spirituality. And I think that this is the next step for everybody, if it's not already what you're doing, to really find a practice that gives you this strength in your kundalini, in your own energy system, so that you can make a difference. You're not just teaching from the mind and from some kind of knowledge that we learn so easily nowadays.
Guruji is emphasizing a lot the need of a teacher to keep very strong sadhana, as you said. Yeah.
And I bet some people are like, oh, this sounds so difficult, you know, I want a path that like is just more easy. And we're in the back end of a very Kali Yuga, those that understand Kali Yuga, you know, and we need these stronger practices to help to push through the ignorance, the level of ignorance in ourselves and in humanity at a large.
Yeah.
And this is where Tantra is a path that really is making a difference at the moment in this particular yuga. Otherwise, it's very difficult. But it's also a difficult path, because if you get all of this energy, you need to make sure that you use it for the highest good.
Yeah, and I think it's not only the ignorance, it's also our daily lives that are very intense these days. And it's so easy to lose ourselves in the coronavirus drama, or in our work, or small things in life, and forget about sadhana, forget about our practice. But when we have these commitments that keeps us on track, it makes us stronger.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And then
it's
through
like a tool to stay strong in life.
yeah, definitely.
Hmm. So would you be interested to show us a Kriya, a Sharabh Yog Kriya? And also, just to say, you explained so beautifully about Sharabh Yog. I'm not sure that we said that Sharabh Yog is a part of Shivoham Tantra, a very beautiful part of Shivoham Tantra, and coming from Guruji, transmitted to Radasi and Yorgos. And would you be interested to show us one Kriya so people can see? Because we all know the Kriyas of Kriya Yoga of Yogi Bhajan. He's very famous, and many people are doing his type of Kriyas, and they know that these Kriyas are consisting of maybe a kind of an asana, a movement, breathing, and mantra, which is very similar to what we will put in our Kriyas, but they do look a bit different, right?
I mean, I can show. I didn't know if we were going to come to this.
You don't have to. I'm checking.
I can show, but what I will say is a couple of things. Is that there are so many different Kriyas that if I show you one now, please don't think that all the others are the same, because they are so different. Like they're so different. And so, I mean, I thought in case this would be, and I'm just trying to feel what would be good to show.
I'm thinking together with you.
I mean, do I really want to freak everybody out with the
No, you don't.
large Kriya? No.
No. We can answer questions. Maybe we should do that.
Let's do that, and then I can feel, instead of thinking, I can
All
feel
right.
Kriya wants to be.
All right. So let's go and check the questions.
Good.
So we have a beautiful question from Elodie, which you know from France, right?
Hello, Elodie.
Elodie is here, and she's asking, is the Kriya of attachment, anger, and ignorance also used in the tradition? Is it all about gunas?
The Kriya of...
Shall I repeat this question again? And also, Elodie, okay, let's see. Oh, there are many questions. Wait a minute. Is the Kriya of attachment, anger, and ignorance also used in this tradition? I think I understand that she means, are we using our, like bad emotions in the Tantric tradition? Like, do we use them in our practice? And this is, this is really common thinking in the West about Tantra coming from Osho and so on, and there are many practices with this. So I assume, and Elodie, please correct me if I'm wrong, that she's asking if we are using emotions in our Kriyas, and also our Kriyas all about gunas.
A couple of things to say. In some of the Kriyas, we endeavor to go so deep into a kind of mood sometimes. But it's not necessarily like an emotion, it can be the mood of a particular animal, or the mood of like the energy of an animal. or it can even, like there is a Kriya where, okay, now I'm getting to this. Okay, so this is, we wait for it to come. And I didn't plan on doing this, so what to say?
That's the
So
best part.
Say that again.
When it's not planned, it's the best part.
Yeah, so this wasn't planned. Okay, so we're not dealing with emotion things here. This is actually techniques coming from the Vijnana Bhairav Tantra. Yeah, the dharanas of the Vijnana Bhairav Tantra, at least to my understanding. So it's more of a dhyan practice. Within the Kriyas, we get into a particular mood. So again, it might seem a bit weird, but never mind, this is what it is. We have a particular Kriya that we sit, and this can be for a long period of time. It could be 20 minutes. Of course, if we're just doing this in a basic class, it wouldn't be so long. But we howl like a dog, okay? And when we howl like a dog, we howl like a hungry dog. Now, don't ask me exactly what is like, why that works and this and that. I don't know, honestly. But the reality is it is known, and Guruji sees that when that particular Kriya is done, it activates a particular energy. Okay, so it's something like this.
I just love you, just to say. You've been always so good with these Kriyas. Yeah.
So there is an emotion there, you know. It's like I'm hungry and I'm a dog, and the more you put that bhavana into it, you know, the emotion of that, and you can feel it. And what I want to say is, please don't start trying this at home for 20 minutes. Yeah. Number one, you need to know what the mantra is. And number two, you need to know where to focus the energy. If you try to do these things without the full picture, you're going to potentially not do something good for your subtle body. So yeah, so this is kind of one example that I hope helps to explain. And then also just keeping in mind that this work of the emotions is more akin to a particular aspect of the dharanas of the Vijnana Bhairav Tantra. Mm-hmm.
Also, it's important to understand, like, that if we try things that we do not understand, saying, okay, we're just going to try and feel the emotion, then we might meet different emotions that we don't want to, and activate things that we don't want to. So it's yeah, just to
it trusts that with the practices, they naturally purify these things anyway, you know, without us needing to think about them. Mm-hmm. Unless you choose a path that you do think about them, then okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you for that. And then we have another question from Elodie, and then from Hagitai. So Elodie, she also asked, you said recently we create an energy body, and one of my teachers said so. Sometimes the amount of tapas seems infinite, but the important is to keep going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I remember also years ago hearing a beautiful quote. I don't remember it fully, but it's like sometimes we can put so much energy and it seems futile. You know, the mind is still crazy and this and this, but we don't know what's going on in the background, you know, and it's like we just put this effort in again and then suddenly the light of awareness shines through because we've purified. We've cleared the stuff that has been holding us back, and it's just in that moment of grace.
Yeah, and I want to add to that I'm sure you had moments like this in your life. I definitely had moments that I was like doing so much sadhana and nothing happens. Mm-hmm. And I don't feel energy that is rising in my body, and I don't speak with any energy, and just nothing happens. And you know, in these moments, sometimes I cry. In the past, I remember moments of crying and saying, how long will I still need to do sadhana and see no results? So just, you know, the only thing that we have to do, and Guruji always says that, always keep your sadhana. Just do it, no matter what happens, and no matter also if nothing happens. Just do it, continue and continue, because one day something will happen. And it might be small and it might be big, but it's accumulating, and the grace will come if we keep on going.
And it's so like this for meditation. We know for so many people, they try to meditate, and even years later, the mind is still active. But a true meditator knows that the mind will always be active, and it doesn't matter. What matters is that we just keep meditating. Yeah. And this is it. And this is for anybody doing meditation practice. It's natural for the mind to do that. And just through meditation and these practices that we're speaking about here, we just learn to, through the purification that naturally occurs, we just learn to identify ourselves with, not with the mind, with that. And so, yeah, this is a massive part of spirituality. So never, we should never give up. Never.
Yeah. And reading the next question. Oh, this is a nice one. Hagiti is saying, 1, for this 4 months mantra practice, please send us a link. I guess she means the practice of after Sharabh Yog. I don't think you will explain. And also 2, 18 months, 20 minutes a day for 3 Kriyas. It's a question. I think she would like to practice.
So I think we understand that in order to do the practice, you need to do the sadhana, that 3-week sadhana to open the energy. Otherwise, the mantra afterwards means nothing for your energy system.
I'll just add that she says that for her it sounds like the path to the Garden of Eden, like heaven. She would like to do sadhana. But so the specific sadhana that Radasi was speaking about, it's part of Sharabh Yog, right? Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So like there is a need to come and do the entire process of 3 months, 3 weeks or 3 months?
It's 3 weeks, and then if people want to teach, well, it's 6 weeks, because then afterwards the asana knowledge is departed, you know, because there's a whole system of asanas for the petals of the chakras here. Yeah. But the thing is, if this lady wants to practice mantra, like in general, then maybe she should just contact you, because at Shivoham Tantra, we are definitely supporting people in mantra practice, and but finding the right mantra for what you need at this moment that is fitting with with you and the process of the practice that you're doing.
Yeah. So it's a good moment to say that if you are interested in mantras, if you're in Israel, you're welcome to contact me. If you're anywhere else in the world, it's better to contact Radasi. And if you're in Israel and you prefer to contact Radasi, feel free to do so. Because we can give you some mantras, we can put you on the first steps in this path of Shivoham Tantra during these special practices. So you can do this. And in this live video, just above the video, you can find the link to Satya Loka website. This is the website of Radasi, and you can also find her Facebook page as well, tagged up above the video, so you can also contact her through there. And I think we gave a lot of information this evening. And I would just ask you to tell us if there is any upcoming events that you're doing, like is there any Sharabh Yoga planned recently, or anything that you do online that people can join?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, since the lockdown started, I've been offering every week a Sharabh Yog class, and yeah, asking that people donate the monies from there to particular charities. So that's been an ongoing thing. And
Is in your Facebook page? You're doing like an online classes?
Yeah, maybe we just need to give people, they can go through the website or email me to find out. And yeah, so the Sharabh Yoga class I offer, and then also like my kind of more foundational Tantra Yoga style class. And starting next month also, I'm putting a big part of my usual TTC online. I refuse to put the full 200 hours online because I don't believe that helps anybody. I believe that we need to integrate, and we even need to do our very best to have direct contact with our teachers. So, but what I've done, because I think it's a good opportunity now, is I've put 120 hours. There will be 120 hours online. And then later we find a way for people to come and do a retreat with me and Yogas and another teacher, like a 10-day immersion, to make sure that you can teach asana very well, safely, and with good guidance. So yeah, I think that this is a real good opportunity. I don't know if we will do it again online, the TTC. It's a special thing Yoga Alliance is allowing because of what's happened. So this is one thing. And then, of course, because of this, we put our courses online, the modules from the TTC, most of them. And after this, maybe, and I think we will, but step at a time, create a course for Sharabh Yog so that people can come. I mean, let's see, we have the Sharabh Yog TTC booked for October this year, but we don't know what will happen with visas in India.
Yeah, in India.
Yeah, if that doesn't happen, then surely we put it on a course online so that people can come. You can experience the Kriyas, the asanas, the philosophy, and yeah.
Or in Greece, Radasi and Yorgos, her husband, are teaching on Mount Olympus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
For us Israelis, is just a very short journey.
Yeah, it's true actually. We have a retreat in September, like a kind of advanced training retreat for people to just go deeper as practitioners, but also as teachers. So thank you for giving the opportunity that I can, share that. And if people are tired, they can, you can just email or reach out via Facebook or something.
Yeah. Great. Wow, so thank you so much. It's been a pleasure, and I learned some few things as well this evening, new things, and it's really fascinating. So people are saying thank you here, and later on you can go on Facebook and see their comments.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, everybody. And even if just one thing I've said today inspires or helps, then that makes me,
happy.
Yeah.
Okay. So good night, everybody, and we hope to see you here again in this group for another talk one day.
Yeah, I'm happy to join. So thank you. Wish everybody well in your spirituality and the paths that you choose, and share with others also.
Bye.
Namaste.
Namaste.